You say your dog's name, and something small but strange happens. Its ears lift, its eyes lock on you, and then its head slowly tilts to the side. It looks almost like a question, like your dog is trying to understand every word you just said. Most people see this and smile. They think it means the dog is confused or maybe just being cute. It feels simple, it feels obvious. But that moment is not as simple as it looks. That little head tilt might be one of the clearest signs of how your dog is thinking. Not just hearing sound, but paying attention to something important, something familiar, something it cares about. Because when scientists started studying this exact moment, they found something surprising. Dogs don't tilt their heads randomly, and in some cases, they do it more when the words actually mean something. Not every head tilt is the same behavior. Before we go deeper, there is something very important most people miss. Not every head tilt means the same thing. They may look alike, but they are not. Sometimes your dog tilts its head for just a second. You say a word, it tilts, then it goes back to normal. That kind of tilt is quick, soft, and happens during moments of attention. This is the kind people find cute. This is the one we are talking about, but there is another kind of head tilt that is very different. If your dog's head stays tilted all the time, even when it is walking or resting, that is not the same behavior. If your dog also seems off balance, walks in circles, falls over, or looks dizzy, that can be a sign of a problem inside the ear or brain. This is called a vestibular problem, and it needs a vet. So before we try to understand the cute tilt, we have to separate it from the warning tilt. One is about attention and thinking. The other is your dog asking for help. Dogs tilt more when the words matter. Now we get to the part that changes everything. Scientists wanted to know if head tilting was random or if it meant something deeper. So they studied dogs that could learn the names of toys. These were special dogs. They could hear a word like ball or rope and go find the right object. When these dogs heard a word they knew, something interesting happened. They tilted their heads much more often. But dogs that did not know the words almost never did this. That means the tilt was not just about sound. It was about meaning. Even more surprising, each dog tilted its head to the same side again and again. One dog would tilt left most of the time. Another would tilt right, and they kept doing it that way for months. This shows the movement was not random or silly, it was organized. It was part of how the dog was thinking. So that moment when your dog tilts its head might not be confusing at all. It might be the moment your dog recognizes something important in what you said. Attention at the point of recognition. So what is your dog really doing when it tilts its head? Most people think the dog is confused, but the science points to something else. The head tilt often happens at the exact moment your dog is paying close attention. Not just hearing you, not just reacting, but focusing. Think about when it happens. You say your dog's name, or you say a word it knows, like walk, food, or ball. Right then, the head tilts, almost like your dog is locking onto that word. Scientists believe this moment may be when the dog is trying to understand something important. Not every sound matters, but some sounds do. And when they do, the dog's brain shifts into a deeper level of attention. The head tilt may be part of that shift. It is not random. It is not just cute. It may be your dog saying, wait, this matters. So instead of seeing the tilt as confusion, it might be better to see it as focus, a small sign that your dog is really listening. Why dogs tilt to one side. Here is where things get even more interesting. When scientists watched dogs closely, they saw something strange. Each dog did not tilt its head in a random way. One dog might tilt left almost every time, another dog might tilt right, and they kept doing it the same way again and again. This tells us something important. The tilt may be connected to how the dog's brain works. The brain has two sides, a left side and a right side. Each side does different kinds of thinking. In many animals, one side may be more active when they hear certain sounds or words. So when your dog hears a word it knows, one side of its brain may turn on more, and the head tilt could be linked to that side. It is like the dog is turning its head in a way that matches how its brain is working in that moment. This means the tilt is not just a body movement. It may be a small sign of thinking inside the brain. A simple tilt, showing a very complex process happening where you cannot see it. Trying to see and hear better. There is another idea that many people talk about. Maybe your dog tilts its head to understand you better, not just in its brain, but with its senses. Think about how your dog looks at you. Dogs have long noses, called muzzles. For some dogs, that nose can block part of their view. So when you speak, your dog may tilt its head to get a clearer look at your face. It might be trying to see your eyes, your mouth, or small changes in your expression. Your face gives your dog a lot of clues, but it is not just about seeing. Dogs also use their ears to find where sounds come from. By moving their head, they may be able to hear your voice more clearly or understand where the sound is coming from. Even a small change in angle can help them focus better, so the head tilt could be doing two things at once. It may help your dog see better and hear better. But here's the important part. This idea makes sense, but it does not explain everything. Dogs do not tilt their heads every time they hear a sound. They often do it more when something is important or familiar. So the tilt may not be just about better hearing or better seeing. It may be about paying attention in a smarter way. Why does it feel so special? There is a reason this moment feels so strong to people. When your dog tilts its head, it does not just look cute. It feels like your dog is trying to connect with you, like it is really listening, like it cares about what you are saying. And that feeling may not be wrong. Dogs are very good at watching humans. They look at our faces, listen to our voices, and learn what our words mean. Over time, your dog learns which sounds matter most. Your name, its name, words like walk, food, or come. So when your dog tilts its head, it may be doing more than hearing a sound. It may be trying to understand you. It may be focusing on your voice, your face, and your meaning all at once. That is why it feels different from other behaviors. It feels like a moment of connection. Not your dog moving away from you, but moving closer in its own way. A small tilt of the head that says, "I'm with you." Why some dogs tilt more than others? Not all dogs tilt their heads the same way. Some do it all the time. Others almost never do it. And that difference is important. In studies, scientists found that a small group of dogs could learn many object names. These dogs could hear a word like ball or rope and pick the right toy. They were very good at this. These same dogs also tilted their heads much more often. Dogs that did not learn these words did not tilt as much. This suggests something interesting. The dogs that tilt more may be doing more mental work. They may be paying closer attention to words and trying harder to understand what they hear. It is not about being a better dog. It is about how each dog thinks and learns. Some dogs are more focused on sounds and words. Others may rely more on smells or movement. So if your dog tilts its head a lot, it may be a sign that it is really tuned into you. And if your dog does not tilt much, that does not mean it is not smart. It just means it may understand the world in a different way. A warning sign. Now there is something important you need to know. Not every head tilt is safe. If your dog tilts its head for a moment and then goes back to normal, that is usually okay. That is the kind we talked about before. But if your dog's head stays tilted all the time, that is different. Watch for other signs. Your dog may look dizzy, it may walk in circles, it may fall over or have trouble standing. Its eyes might move in a strange way. It may not want to eat or may seem very tired. These are not normal behaviors. They can mean there is a problem inside your dog's ear or brain. This is often called a vestibular problem. In this case, your dog is not trying to understand you. Your dog is trying to stay balanced. So if you ever see a tilt that does not go away, do not wait. Take your dog to a vet as soon as possible, because sometimes what looks like a cute moment is actually your dog asking for help. At the end of all this, one thing becomes clear. A head tilt is not just one simple behavior. Sometimes your dog tilts its head because it hears a word it knows. Something important. Something it remembers. In that moment, it may be trying to understand you better. Sometimes the tilt is part of how the brain works. One side of the brain becomes more active, and the head moves with it. A small movement, linked to a bigger process inside. Sometimes your dog is trying to see you better, or hear you more clearly. A tiny change in angle that helps it focus on your face or your voice. And sometimes the tilt is not about thinking at all. Sometimes it is a sign that something is wrong. So the next time your dog tilts its head, do not just see it as cute. Look at the moment. Listen to what you said. Watch how your dog moves, because that one small tilt could mean many different things. It could be attention. It could be focus. It could be connection. Or in rare cases, it could be a warning, a simple movement on the outside. But on the inside, something much deeper is happening.